Heyo, this is Ham the Guinness Gamer here again, bringing you my next Ashes of Creation video. Today's video is going to be about the herbalism gathering profession and just general points and tips and how to level it up and such. So before I get into that though, if you like this video, give me a like and a subscribe. Any comments to make, leave them down below, blah blah blah. But for now, let's get straight into it. Herbalism works largely like the other gathering professions, in that you pick up a quest in the start area in Lionhold that gets you the crude gathering tools, the same quest that gets you the horse. So I'm assuming that you will have done that, or you'll find it easy enough to do that quest because you just follow the NPCs, and it's pretty self-explanatory at the very start of the game, and you end up then with your crude gathering tools. So that's the crude sickle specifically for herbalism, but then also the other crude gathering tools for the other gathering professions. Say this one's going to be specifically about herbalism. What you can do fairly quickly is that you can actually get upgraded tools. You can get novice tools instead of those crude gathering tools that have a bit better stats on them, and you get those at the by talking to NPCs and gathering the materials at the textile mill and Briarmoor farms. I didn't actually do that myself, but I know it is possible if you want to get slightly better tools at the very start. Instead of doing that, I just went straight into all my gathering using the crude tools until I got up to the apprenticeship level, but we'll get into that shortly. Basically what you do is you use your sickle to harvest novice plants, and that's how you level up from level 1 to 10 anyway. Those novice plants that you can use at this stage, or that you can use your tool on, are daffodils, snowdrops and flax. Now you'll see groups and groups of daffodils. I'm showing daffodils here in the background, they're the yellow ones. Groups and groups of them together, and generally there's a good amount of snowdrops around them as well. Flax is a little rare. It's a plant used for weaving, and it's got purple flowers on it, but mostly what you'll do is you'll level up from 1 to 10 by harvesting the daffodils and the snowdrops. Now the way the spawns actually work in this game is a bit different than other games, in that the spawn can change. You know, one time you'll go to it and there'll be a daffodil at that spawn point, and then another time you'll go to it, it might be a snowdrop. In general, it doesn't matter so much for the daffodils and the snowdrops, because when they spawn there's lots of big groups of them together, so you'll not even really notice if one of the spawns have changed, because there's 20 daffodils there. You know, that's more relevant for gathering higher level mats, but for the purpose of this video you won't really notice. Now I will say those crude tools have a tool durability of 60, which is exactly 60 harvests, so just be aware of that. When your durability goes down, you can repair it at any vendor in the game. Just something to be aware of, because the first time I actually went out harvesting, I maybe harvested 50 plants, didn't really realise that I just nearly destroyed the sickle, and then I went out again expecting to harvest another 50 and the sickle broke, and the only way I could fix it was to go back to a vendor. So hopefully that'll save you a bit of time. I learned the hard way, so you don't have to. So each novice plant then that you're actually harvesting there will give you some XP, a very small amount of player XP, but mostly herbalism XP, which makes sense. And of course the player XP is to level up your player level, but the herbalism XP is to level up your herbalism profession. Now the higher rarities of things that drop will give you higher XP amounts. Again, both player XP and herbalism XP. The rarities are dictated by a few different things, but in the early game mostly you'll be harvesting the basic rarity, which is common, and then a few uncommon as well. But it goes up then to rare and heroic and epic and legendary. You're unlikely to come across too many higher than epic, to be honest. Later on you can upgrade your tools, and you make a higher rarity tool that can increase the rarity drop rates and such of the items, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but of the items that you're gathering, so that'll increase your chance of getting higher rarity items. But generally speaking, the early game here, as a novice gatherer, you're going to be mostly gathering the common and the uncommon items. What you can do, one thing that I discovered a little bit later than I would like to, is to help speed up your gathering XP gain, so your herbalism XP gain. There are node commissions. If the mayor has selected them, you can do node commissions along the lines of, harvest 20 daffodils or harvest 20 snowdrops, the only two that I've actually seen. And when you complete those, when you get the 20, you will get extra Herbalism XP as well as your player XP for doing that commission. And you don't have to go back to the node to hand those in, which is handy. You can hand that in through your quest log. So it's just worth noting that if you're going out gathering, you should check the commission board in your node for those, because it's basically free XP if you're going to be doing the gathering anyway. Generally though, to get up from level 1 to 10, other than those commissions, all you have to do is harvest lots and lots of plants, and lots and lots of the novice plants, to get up to level 10. At level 10 then, you're able to become an apprentice, but this has two sections to it before it's any use to you. First of all, to actually level up to the apprentice level, you go and talk to an NPC, and I'll explain where the NPC is soon, but you go talk to him. There's no cost to it, and it's just a conversation currently. I'm sure that'll change at some point, but it's just a conversation with him, and he says, do you want to have apprentice certification? And you say yes, and you're given the certification. Before you can actually harvest the apprentice plants, you need to craft the apprentice tool as well. So you need to do both. You need the certification from that conversation with the NPC, and you also need to make the apprentice tool. And this has a cost, and costs materials as well. Now you can see these if you hit P for your professions, you can see the cost of the tools through your profession window. If you go to Herbalism, obviously, it'll tell you the exact material cost there. You will have a choice of what tool to actually make. So there's two different apprentice tools that you can make, and if you look at the stats, you'll see that one of them increases speed and a little bit increases the rarity of the items you're harvesting, I think, and the other one doesn't increase the speed but increases the rarity and increases the resource gain as well, I believe. Now what you can do when crafting the tool is you can use rarer mats, and you get those stats of each tool amplified. What I did in the first instance, I just wanted to get the apprentice tools so that I could get gathering some kind of apprentice plants, but I am actively gathering the mats then to make an upgraded tool. One thing to note though is you can't make multiple tools, so if you make yourself an epic tool, it slots straight into your inventory. Don't go making yourself a common tool just to try it out thinking that you can switch. It will slot straight into your inventory as well, so you can only have one tool at a time. So you always need to keep an eye on the durability. You always need to go back to the vendor. You can't bring 2 or 3 tools out with you at once and just go on a gathering spree, unfortunately. So what you should do then, you should look at those the professions window and check out what materials you need, gather those materials or buy them or whatever, get them together anyway, and then you bring them to where the agricultural supply guy is in your server. Now every server is different. This is a building that has to have been built by a node before you can actually level up, before you can make your apprentice tool. So building has to have been built, and it's called the agricultural supplies. Now if you ask anybody in your server or checking your Discord and stuff, you should be able to work out where it has been built. It's generally built quite quickly. If other servers are like our server, everybody kind of got together and different nodes decided what they were going to build just to get everybody pushing forward in the game a bit quicker, so that every node built a building or two to unlock all of the apprentice tools pretty quickly. I imagine full release of the game, all of the diplomacy won't necessarily be quite as friendly, because one node might be going for, the agricultural supply guy, and another node might be going for it too, and then that's a reason maybe to start a war or something between them. But for now, you should be able to work out where, if you want, you can just look at every node on the map and you'll see the agricultural supply guy, assuming it has been built. At this stage, every server will have built one, I'm sure, but when phase 2 releases and there's a wipe, there's a bit of waiting needed before you can actually visit this guy and get the higher level tool and get the apprentice certification. Again, varies from server to server. So there's also a gold cost or a silver cost for actually crafting the tool as well. Now This is influenced by the node that the agricultural supply is in, that node's tax rate. It looks as though I was crafting it in a node that had 39% tax, and it cost me about 14 silver. So it looks like the base cost of the tool might be 10 silver, but if there's a 100% tax rate in that node, then it could be 20 silver. So I'd make sure you have at least 20 silver on you. It should be much cheaper than that, but just in case, you don't want to make the trip if you have to run across the map to go to this node to unlock this to unlock the Herbalism certification and to make the tool, to only realise you don't have enough silver to actually make it. That would be highly frustrating, I'm sure. The actual name of the building is the Agricultural Supplies Node Service Building. And that should be pretty obvious when you see it on the map. It has a Herbalism vendor at it, and then it also has the animal husbandry and farming vendors at it, as well as the workbench basically to craft the actual tool at. So those vendors themselves will actually sell some higher level mats as well that you can't get at the basic novice node vendor that's at every node. You know, there's certain things, if you're leaning into, as I say, it's herbalism here, but also then for farming and as animal husbandry, if you're leaning into those, you might into those professions, you might find that you need to go to this node more than once. So it's good to know where it is if you're gonna be doing that. So once you have that tool and the apprentice certification, then you're able to harvest the apprentice herbs. Again, this will work the same really as the level 1 to 10 as the novice herbs. Like, you just run up to them and just gather them. You will gather them a bit quicker, because, well, if you've made that first tool, you will, because it has that increased speed of use. And then you'll notice that in particular if you also use your apprentice tool to harvest the daffodils and snowdrops and flax when you see them, compared to how quickly you did it with the crude or the novice tool. So your apprentice herbs then that you're gathering, as you'd expect, they're worth a bit more at the vendors. They give more XP when you harvest them. Again, the same thing applies for the rarity and the more XP when you're gathering higher level rarity plants. And then also, of course, your rarity, that the chance of the higher level rarities dropping will have already increased because of your tool. One thing to note at this stage as well, that you probably already realise this, but the material bags have different slot sizes as well, and plants are a 1x3 item size in your material bag. So if you're going out specifically to just harvest plants, you'd obviously be bringing those herbalism bags with you. You can also get bags that will increase your rarity chance, increase your storage, and you know, are more in tune to actually going out and gathering plants. So it's definitely something worth considering if you're going out in a big gather haul. You know, bring the right tools, bring the right bags. Sooner rather than later, if you're able to grind together or buy the mats to make the higher level tools, make the higher level bags, you know, that give you more stats, then that ultimately is going to increase, or more stats slash better stats, that ultimately is going to increase your yield from your gathering run, and therefore the money that you can actually make at the end of the day from selling those mats on, or using them, you know, whatever you want to do for them. Now, right now in phase 1, we can't actually level up the nodes enough to build the buildings to make our journeyman tools. So we'll see what the process is like in the future, but I'm assuming for journeyman gathering and then even master and grandmaster gathering, the process is going to be largely the same as what it has been for novice and apprentice. What I will say is you can also get those surveying rods. You can buy them at the vendor, again at the apprentice node, so at the agricultural supplies node service building, the apprentice guy there, you can buy the rods there. That will also give you buffs for harvesting for gathering also. Now ultimately we'll be able to make those rods through arcane engineering. I'm not sure, it doesn't seem like we actually can yet, but ultimately there's gonna be 3 different professions that are able to make things that improves, well, probably more actually, 5 or 6 the way this game is designed. There's a lot of cross reliance between the professions, and there's going to be multiple different professions then you need to rely on to make your tools and make your bags and make those surveying pylons, as I say. But I'll leave that here. It's basically just a 101, a summary of how gathering works, specifically for herbalism, but a lot of that will overlap into the other gathers. I will talk about them individually in separate videos, but as I say, there's a lot of overlap there. But I'll leave it here. Thank you for watching, thank you for listening. If you have any comments to make, blah blah blah, you know the story. I'd be grateful for a subscribe, being a young YouTube channel. But for now, wherever you are, thank you for watching, goodbye and good luck.